It's time. The world will know you as pop stars. But you will be much more than that. You will be hunters.
Hey! This is the men's bathhouse. Get out of here!
You know, if they told me that there was going to be a demon hunting animated movie where it's a bunch of K-pop stars being the demon hunters, I probably would have laughed. But I would have laughed even more if you told me it's actually good. Well, here we are. Okay, so K-pop demon hunters. So I heard about this movie. I think I remember seeing like a trailer for it, or like it popped up on YouTube, but I never watched it because I was just like, okay, I don't really care. And then when the movie came out, I started seeing a bunch of like animated GIFs from the movie and on Twitter. And I just went, what the hell is this? Like, this just looks odd. And some of my friends listened to the soundtrack for this, and they really liked it. And I'm like, well, that's a big issue with me because I don't care for that Korean pop stuff. I don't care. It's not my genre. But, you know, people were saying it was actually pretty good, and I really enjoyed The Mitchells versus the Machines, which is done by Sony Pictures Animation for Netflix. I really enjoyed that. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll give this one a shot. And I did. And it honestly surprised me. Like, that worked for the most part. And I'll get into that in a minute. So what you got here is I actually do like the concept. I really like the ideas they have, where it's, you know, a bunch of Korean singers over generations. You have this trio of Korean singers that are, well, singing, but they're also defending Earth from like demons and all that fun crap. And I was like, okay, I actually kind of like that idea. You know, it's like a passed down generation to generation kind of thing. So, and because music evolves, it's a completely like new, you know, like genre. So I was like, okay, I kind of like that. I like that idea. After the first like 10 minutes, the movie really surprised me on its writing. It was actually a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be. Because I originally thought it was just going to be like, oh, it's just these three Korean pop singers who have a band and they just fight demons. But it was actually like, no, it's actually a lot more than that. And I actually really liked that. I liked how they actually thought this out. Instead of just saying, oh, they're demon hunters and they're K-pop singers. It's like, nope, there's an actual reason for them being demon hunters and also a reason for them being Korean singers. Or just singers. So I was like, all right, I really like that. They also, something that I thought was really cool that I don't really see a lot of people talking about is the demons. They used like a lot of Korean mythology in there. And I was like, that's actually a nice touch. I really like that. It did actually, like, there were spots in there where I was like, wow, that actually really surprised me. Like, okay. Now, the songs, I think the songs were catchy enough for the movie. They worked for the movie. Now, when I listened to it by itself, I'm not the right kind of guy to ask for that because K-pop is just not my thing. Okay, I don't listen to BTS all day long. I just don't. So it's not my thing. But the songs, they were catchy enough, but not annoying enough like a Disney movie. Where with a Disney movie, it can just be so annoying that it gets in your head because it is so catchy. With this, I didn't have that problem. And, you know, every time when a song comes on, It's like, okay, there was, a catchy song, but it was kind of like, all right, moving on. But I wasn't humming or like anything to it. It was just more like watching it, and it worked. It felt like they were writing the songs while writing the movie, where sometimes, you write the songs before you write the movie or vice versa. It felt like they just went, it felt like a Nightmare Before Christmas kind of thing, where Danny Elfman said that it was him and Burton sat down. Burton started going scene by scene, and then Elfman just went, stop, song goes here. And they just did a song right there. And then went, okay, what next? So it felt like that kind of process. I would really like to know like what kind of process they were with writing it. But it also did get like 2 or 3 legitimate laughs from me, where it actually got me. And some of that had to do with kind of its animation. The animation at times when it got to like really just kind of weird looking spots, it reminded me of something like Teen Titans, where it was in that kind of style, but then they used a lot of their animation for comedy, and it worked. This kind of does the same thing. While I don't think it worked as much as something like Teen Titans did, because at times it felt like they were being weird to be weird. They were just like, hey, let's just do this. Okay, let's go for it. And it'll be a funny visual gag. And some of them work, but for me personally, besides those 2 or 3 legitimate laughs, I was really just kind of chuckling the whole way. Now, little things. The animation was a little iffy at times, but that's a very minor complaint. It honestly would reach the point where it's like, okay, you're just nitpicking. So it very minor. So I'm not going to deduct from that. But what I mean about it almost working is the last 20 minutes really was kind of, oh, okay. Now I liked, what they did, but it kind of felt like they saw the runtime and they had 20 minutes left and they went, oh crap, we got to finish this up. So it really felt like they were speeding it up. So when the ending happens and it's kind of like okay, this is over. This is done. And now let's go on with this. It's like, I have questions. Like, I need answers to this, because there is a not necessarily a twist, but something is going on with one of the characters that I liked, and the reason why they're being the way they are is because of this thing that's going on with them. So I was like, okay, in something else, if there wasn't a thing and you were just being this way, I would have found this annoying. But the fact that they actually put this in here made sense to me. And so I was like, all right, cool. All right, I'm with this. But the last 20 minutes felt like they were wrapping it up way too quickly. And I'm just like, yeah, I think it feels like a couple of scenes, maybe 5 to 10 minutes was cut, or they just didn't think about certain things. Like I won't spoil anything, but there's a part where one of the characters goes from one location to then the climax location. And I'm like, I think I would have liked to have seen a scene where they're thinking about a certain thing. I'm trying not to spoil it, but put it in a way where if you have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. And I think I would have liked to have seen a scene where it's them kind of reflecting on certain things, and then they get to the location, and then the big battle happens. But there's none of that in there. So it's kind of like, all right, you go from this to then this, and it's like, okay, that's all right. And I think it resolved itself a little too quickly. But for a movie that I thought was going to suck just from the title, I was like, okay. And because this wasn't like something like Pixar, where I'm like, okay, for the most part, I don't think that they would put the time in to, make this, stand out. Sony Pictures Animation has been on a roll with this. Like, I have not seen, as far as I know, like one, bad animated movie in the past, 5 to 10 years. Because they went from stuff like Open Season, and then now they're doing all this good stuff. So it's like, all right, cool. So this honestly surprised me. For someone who doesn't give two shits about the music genre of K-pop, I never thought you would make a movie about K-pop stars being demon hunters, but they managed to pull it off for the most part. It almost kind of reminded me of something like Barbie, where it was like, all right, there's a 1 in 100 chance that this is actually going to work, and it worked. So I was like, all right. So, despite some of its flaws, would I watch this again? Probably not. But this did utterly surprise me. So I would give this a low grade. A low grade. If the last 20 minutes was a little bit better, then I would have given this a higher grade. But it is a low grade, and for a movie that I had no interest in watching and came out of it and it surprised the hell out of me, you succeeded. So great job. Great job.
Yeah, this plane's trashed. Everything is at stake.